Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is, of course, me, Kyle Brinchley, in the house on this Thursday. And ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived. It is opening day for Major League Baseball. Holy cow, I can't even believe it. I mean, I can because the weather's been so nice. It's still March. This is the earliest opening day in Major League Baseball history. Out here in the West, it was literally 84 degrees outside yesterday. Baseball is here. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about March Madness. Last weekend in March Madness was absolutely crazy. We'll be talking about all the games, previewing the Sweet 16. I'll be telling you what I've been most surprised at, and so much more. Of course, Fan Talk's a podcast you can find anywhere you get your podcast. I also upload on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it. Fan Talk is a podcast for the fans, by the fans. Let's jump right in. Rogue One posters are up. Fan Talk, I got a new candle burning finally. It's called Book Loft. I've been reading a lot of books recently. Any good book suggestions, drop it down below. Like I said last episode, March is a top 3 month in the sports world because there's just so much going on. And March Madness, in and of itself, even if there wasn't anything else going on, March Madness in and of itself makes March a top 3 sports month. Last weekend, the best weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's just games all day long. The least productive days of work in the United States were Thursday and Friday of the March Madness weekend. That's a fact. And there were so many fantastic games, not a ton of Cinderella runs, not a ton of upsets like there have been in the past, but that's okay. I've kind of figured it would be pretty chalk. There have been some big shakeups that we will talk about. Maybe your bracket's already been busted. Maybe your bracket's doing all right. Maybe you're hanging on. Hey, as long as you got your national champion and your Final Four all still in, I say your bracket's doing pretty good. I made 12 brackets, and we'll take a look at some of those here in just a second. The Sweet 16 kicks off tonight. Texas and Purdue is the first game that will be underway. Texas, they are the last double-digit seed remaining. I wouldn't really call them a Cinderella because they're out of the SEC, and SEC basketball has gotten a lot better recently over the years, but should be a fun matchup against Purdue. Purdue's playing very well right now, which is kind of odd because I feel like Purdue has had better teams and better players in the past, but as you know, they lost to the 16 seed Farley Dickinson. They lost to St. Peter's the year before. They did go on to play in the national championship 2 years ago, but it just seems like they haven't had a ton of success, even though I've thought they've had better teams. But should be a fun matchup against this Texas team who is very feisty and who is, for all intents and purposes, hot right now, taking down BYU and Gonzaga to get to Purdue. Should be a fun matchup. I'm really excited for Arkansas, Arizona. 2 high-octane teams, 2 teams that are very, very good. Arizona, of course, has only lost 2 games all year. They're the 1 seed, 4 seed. Arkansas, led by Calipari as their coach, and Darius Akoff, who is fantastic freshman, who is just cooking everyone that comes into his path. That should be a fun matchup. Duke, St. John's, that one, very, very fun game. That St. John's, Kansas game, holy cow, that was absolutely crazy. And then Duke, of course, the number 1 overall seed with the Boozer brothers. Should be a fun matchup. I think St. John's can hang with them, but they're going to have to do everything right because this Duke team is probably the most complete team in the field. Michigan State and Connecticut, that should be a very fun matchup. Love me some Tom Izzo versus Dan Hurley, some 2 very established coaches. That one should be very fun to watch. And this next one, Iowa, Nebraska. Why are we playing a football game in the middle of March? That's my question. Who would have thought that Iowa and Nebraska would have made the Sweet 16 in college basketball? It's been a crazy year for both these programs coming out of the Big Ten. Nebraska, of course, taking out Vanderbilt, and Iowa taking out the number 1 seed and defending champion Florida Gators. SEC, what happened? Whoa! Falling to 2 Big Ten teams. This one, I'm so excited to watch this one. This game is going on tonight, Iowa, Nebraska. None of my brackets I had this matchup, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, who comes out on top. Should be really fun. Could be a low-scoring game, just like in football. I don't know. We'll see. But if you guessed Iowa, Nebraska, the Sweet 16, comment down below. Let's all give you your flowers. Illinois and Houston, that should be a very fun matchup. Illinois has probably got the best offense in the field, and then Houston of course, with Kelvin Sampson and the freshman Flemings. Just like a lot of experience when it comes to the postseason. They have that one freshman, but they have a bunch of guys who have been there before. Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, just some good guys that have been there before. Should be a fun matchup. Tennessee, Iowa State on the other side with Michigan and Alabama. That could be an upset that I talked about last week with Alabama getting over Michigan. We shall see. 16 is set. Drop your predictions down below who you think is going to get through. And now this is the time where I will share how my bracket is going. A lot of people's brackets are busted. There are no more perfect brackets through at least ESPN's platform. So as you can see here, I have 8 brackets through ESPN. Usually I make a couple serious ones and then I make some non-serious ones like this one down here. I pick every upset with Santa Clara winning it all. Of course, they've lost and it's probably the worst bracket out there. My best bracket, as you can see here, I had Florida winning it all and Florida is out. But I've picked everything else quite good and I'm ranked pretty high in the world and I'm at the top of a lot of groups that I'm in. However, since I did pick Florida, I'm not going to get those points. My max points, as you can see over here, is only 1,200. So I probably won't win this bracket group because the other people in the group still have like Arizona, Duke, Michigan, Houston, these other teams. Here's some other brackets that I made. I got Iowa State winning one just for fun. This one I've got UConn winning. Of course, I got a Duke one, a Michigan one, and an Arizona one. It's hard. It's hard to pick a bracket, and it's hard, especially when you do multiple brackets at the same time, because in one bracket, maybe you picked TCU to win the first round game, and then in the other bracket, you picked Ohio State. And so it's like, who do you root for, right? In the early round games, it doesn't quite matter. Ultimately, if you have a similar Elite Eight and a similar Final Four, you can switch up the champion. But if you have a similar Elite Eight and then Final Four, then ultimately that is where all the points come from, because you get more points the further on you go. More points if you get the correct pick in the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four, and Championship. Let's take a look at my bracket that is doing pretty well, minus the fact that the champion is out. If Florida was still alive, this bracket would be doing very, very well. I took a few swings on this bracket because I knew a lot of people would have the same couple teams there. So I actually have Duke losing to St. John's in this bracket. I have Arkansas beating Arizona. I have Michigan State in the Final Four, as well as Arkansas in the Final Four. I kind of took a few swings here with Florida, Michigan State, Michigan, and Arkansas, just to try to see if I could get ahead. Because ultimately, if you have a lot of the same picks as other people, then they maybe have 1 or 2 picks that they did better in these early rounds. And so I just like to take swings when it comes to the Elite Eight and Final Four, because if you get it right, then you get it right and you get ahead of everyone. But of course, this bracket with Florida losing probably won't do much now, but it was a fun run. My other brackets are all still alive. This UConn one has a good shot. Iowa State, I don't think Iowa State will win it all. I think they'll lose either here in the Sweet 16 or in the Elite Eight. But of course, Duke's a solid option. Michigan, Arizona, you had to pick these ones to stay alive. But these groups, as you can see, I'm further behind because I messed up a ton in the first and second round. And even if I do pick the correct winner, there are people who also have the correct winner who also have more points from the first and second round that would be ahead of me. That is why I took a few swings on this bracket here. But let's take a look at the leaderboard in the entire world. As I mentioned before, there is no more perfect brackets. We got two guys tied for first. Let's take a look at them. They got 620 points. But their one wrong pick was Villanova and Utah State. That was their one wrong pick. So there's brackets out there that have 2 wrong picks, actually. So there's no more that have 1 wrong pick. There's 2 wrong picks. They actually predicted this correct Sweet 16 matchup, Iowa and Nebraska, with Iowa winning tonight. Their Final Four is Duke, Houston, Michigan, and Arkansas. That's not out of the question at all. That's actually a very solid Final Four. That's maybe the Final Four I would have done. I wish I did Duke, Illinois, Michigan, Arkansas. Yeah, that's a pretty solid Final Four. I wish I may have done that, but oh well. Everybody's like, oh yeah, and now that I see that I messed up, I wish I would have done it the other way. Let's take a look at what this guy has to do. This guy has Duke, Iowa, Arkansas, and Alabama in the Final Four. Now, this one's a little crazier. This guy's riding Iowa all the way, and Alabama. If this is the Final Four, then I'll be darned. But kudos to you. Channing Smart bracket. Way to go, my friend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Sweet 16. What have I been most surprised by this tournament so far? Well, to be completely honest, I will say that I don't think anyone had Iowa in the Sweet 16. Maybe some people had Nebraska. It wasn't unheard of to have Nebraska over Vanderbilt, but to have Iowa get past Clemson, then Florida, and to get to the Sweet 16, that's most surprising to me. Same with Texas. Texas was a team that was on the bubble, a team that had to play in just to get into the tournament. Takes out a BYU team with, arguably the number one player in college basketball, AJ DeBonsa, and then take out Gonzaga and Mark Few. Mark Few's been into the tournament every single year. He's been there a lot. And then to face off against a Purdue team, I think that's very surprising. Florida, I'm not surprised they lost. I'm surprised they lost this early. I was wondering maybe they'd lose in the Sweet 16 to a Vanderbilt team, or the Elite Eight to a Houston or Illinois team. But to lose so early to Iowa, that's quite surprising to me. And then to see that there's not a ton of upsets, a little bit surprising to me. I mean, VCU, A&M, those were a couple teams. High Point, of course. Not a ton of Cinderella runs this year, but that's totally fine with me. Utah State got a win, which was fantastic. That's my alma mater, if you don't know. Overall, I think it's been a fantastic March Madness tournament so far. Let me know down below what's been your favorite game. There's been a few that have been very fantastic. I'm going to say Santa Clara, Kentucky was very fun. St. John's in Kansas was definitely up there, I would say. And Vanderbilt, Nebraska, that was a crazy ending. Holy cow. And of course, the High Point, Wisconsin game, very fun with the upset there. There's just been a lot of good games, and I'm very glad that there's been some close competitive games, Not a ton of blowouts. The only blowouts I really see are 1 over 16 and 2 over 15 and 3 over 14. There's been a lot of close games, and it's been super, super fun. I can't wait for more action here in the Sweet 16. Again, drop your predictions down below, and let's go watch some more basketball. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus to Major League Baseball, because today is opening day, and as you can see, I am wearing my Pittsburgh Pirates gear. I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, and you may be asking, how does a guy from Utah like the Pittsburgh Pirates? Well, let me tell you. The year was 2011. I played baseball growing up, just like in, little youth leagues, and I love baseball. Baseball was kind of the first sport I played. Technically is the third sport I played, but I started pretty young is what I'm trying to say. The teams in our league would replicate Major League Baseball teams. So for example, the first team I was ever on was the Nationals. I was on the Mariners one year. I was on the Angels another year, the Athletics. I was never on the Pirates, so that wasn't the reason I chose them. But when I started watching baseball on TV, Major League Baseball, there was a player that I saw that really impressed me. His name, Andrew McCutchen. Pittsburgh Pirates legend. And at the time, he had really cool dreadlocks. He was really fast. He played center field. I was an outfielder as a kid. And so I was like, man, this guy is really cool. I like Pirates. Like, I've always been obsessed with Pirates, like Shiver Me Timbers and Heart, And I was like, okay, I like black and gold, Pirates. This is my team. So I picked the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I've been with them through the thick and the thin. And it's so exciting to see that they have Paul Skeens now, to see that they have a chance to do something this year. They've been pretty bad pretty much the last 8 years. So it should be good to see them. I'm just excited for baseball in general. Honestly, whether the Pirates are good or not, I am watching Major League Baseball because it is America's game, and it is just such a good, fun experience. I love going to games. I love traveling to baseball stadiums and going to games. It's just such a great atmosphere. It's so fun. The buzz of the crowd, the Cracker Jacks, the seventh inning stretch, the guy on the organ whenever someone strikes out. It's awesome. You hit a home run, people are going nuts. It's so cool. And I love baseball season. Baseball season opening day, we actually had a game last night. The New York Yankees faced off against the San Francisco Giants on Netflix. Netflix is getting their hand in the MLB cookie jar. Yankees, of course, took the dub. But I'm so excited for Major League Baseball to start. Now, not all teams play today. Some teams start on Friday, but we are officially starting Major League Baseball. And of course, the favorites to win it all are the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that should come as no surprise because the Dodgers are loaded. If you have not been paying attention, the Dodgers are so loaded. Of course, they have the best player in the world in Shohei Ohtani, but they've loaded up with other position players and other pitchers. World Series winner current odds, the Dodgers are only plus 230, which is absolutely crazy. That means they're so heavily favored that if you bet $10, you'd only win $23, right? So you wouldn't get that much back. It's not necessarily a good investment unless you put a ton of money into it. Yankees, Mariners, Mets, Blue Jays, and Phillies round out the top 5. If you were to bet on the Pittsburgh Pirates, they're plus 6,500. That would turn your pretty penny into a fortune. But also you would lose that money because I don't think the Pirates are going that far. Anyways, it should be a fantastic opening day. I'm so excited. Claim your team down below. No bandwagoners allowed. It should be super fun, and I'm so excited for it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Fan Talk. I'm going to let you go. Sweet 16 action tonight. Major League opening day. We got so many wonderful things coming down the pipe. Go do good in the world and make the world a better place. Thank you so much for watching Fan Talk. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a comment. And I will see you guys next week for another edition of Fan Talk.